We've created two sections within our program that we've been writing. We've got one section which is ladder and one section which is function block. We can mix and match our sections as we wish. When the program is executed, it's going to do the start-stop ladder first, and then it's going to do the function block diagram. Within the ladder diagram, it starts at the top left-hand corner, line 1, column 1, and works its way down the page. And with the function block diagram, it starts at the top and works its way down. Let's just stop our program and we'll disconnect the PLC. In our function block diagrams, notice on our OR gate here, we've got a number 1 on the top right hand corner of the OR gate, and on the AND there's a number 2. That's the order of execution. If I was to select these and then drag them down to make some space, and then go to our data selection tool and add an OR gate in and put it above the screen, notice how it is the highest one on the screen. It's now number 1, and the other two have been changed to number 2 and number 3. If I move this below those two gates that we've just put in, notice how the numbering goes back to 1 for the OR, 2 for the AND, and our new OR gate is now number 3. The number on the top left hand side is the order in which we've put those function block diagrams on the screen. So if I add another function block on the screen, because I put it at the top, it's now number 1, and the second OR gate is number 2 in order of execution. Let's remove those from our screen by selecting them and then deleting. Go back to our ladder diagram. It's good practice to label our programs, and there's a tool on the toolbar called comment. But before we do that, let's add some extra lines in so we can make some space. So if I right click on the number 1 for the row, and I can insert a row. In fact, I might insert 2 rows. Now click on the comment and put it on the screen. Now I can label, go back to my pointer, I might label them in such a way that I'm labeling each column. If I need to go back to my pointer, otherwise I'll put another one of those on the screen. I can general comment to label a section, so I might label this one pump. Pump control, and then drag, resize my label so that it labels a section of the program, or I might even choose to put it across or around all of the section so that part is highlighted, has a label for the whole section. We can do exactly the same in function block diagram by selecting the function block, finding the tool for comment, little yellow icon with an A in it, click that on the screen and then type in our comment. And then I can now drag that where I want, and it will sit behind our program, but we can make it into a label. Well, the next step that we'd like you to do is to enter in the 2 programs that are in Appendix B, which were developed in the PLC lectures. So if we create a new ladder diagram, and we might call this one 3 pump. Click OK. Now when you look at the program, you'll see that there are a few lines which are very similar to each other. And we can use copy and paste functions within our program. So let's create our 3 contacts, and we'll label the first one as R1, label the second one pump Y, CT, and label the third one pump Z. Okay, so the program does have normally closed contacts for some of these, but doesn't matter for now. What I'm going to do is select this line and go Control C, and then go Control V and add another line in, and then Control V, add another line. Then if you look at the program in the book, we're going to change some of these normally open contacts to normally closed. So if I select the normally closed and then select the ones that I want to overtype, and I can overtype those normally opens to normally closed by just overtyping the new symbol over the old symbol, but the naming remains the same. And then I can even select that section there, go Control C, Control V, and then put the new section in, and then just change the labeling of our contacts. Then we can change the type of contact that we're using by just overtyping them. So using cut and paste can save a bit of time in entering your programs. You can do exactly the same with function block. I'll create a new section, make this one function block diagram, and we'll label it 3 pump FBD. Make that slightly larger so that we can see it. We can select our function block and we need an AND gate. Click OK, put that on the screen. Now you'll notice that the AND gates need 3 inputs. I can create more inputs by clicking on the little black square at the bottom of the box and dragging down, and I can add in more inputs. If I need more, I can just drag it down and add as many as I want. We'll just leave it at 3. I'm going to label the first input, and that's going to be R1F. I'm going to label the second input as pump YCTF. Label the third input as pump ZCTF. Now I can select that function block and go Control C and then Control V and put another couple of function blocks on the screen. Now to change from normally open to normally closed with function blocks, we use the toggle pin negation. It's this tool here, and I just select the input that I want to change to a normally closed. We can then go down and do each one as we require. If you make a mistake, you can just overtype it. So if I chose to, I could take that one off or put it back on using the tool. So that saves a bit of time in entering our programs. Also, you'll notice on the function block diagram, you have the ability to label an output with a variable. So say our R1F, and then we can then use the link tool to drag a line across. The other thing we can do is we can change the function block without having to delete everything off. If I right click the AND, halfway down the list you'll see replace FFB, and I can select OR off the screen, and that changes my function block. And we can also move them around the screen to make them look better on the screen. Okay, just wanted to show you a few more things. Let's just delete these for now. Go back to our ladder diagram. Sometimes you'll find that when you're putting programs in, you might inadvertently click on the screen and put a symbol on the screen. Notice how that it's actually blue. If you hover over it, it actually tells you what the error is. But sometimes you don't find it, it's off the screen. So what we can actually do is we go through the build all project, and that error that I've got on the screen has shown up in the output window as 3 errors. And to find out where the error is, I can go up to use the cursor up control, and it's going to show me that the error is in the start stop ladder diagram. It's line 7 column 3. So I find line 7 column 3, and that shows me where the error is. And it says that the object must be connected to a predecessor. What that means is that we need to have our object connected to the left hand side. Even though it is still blue, I'm going to build it again. And notice now there's only 2 errors, and it says the object must have a successor or it's connected to the right rail. If I put a line across and now build it, still have 2 errors, but this time it's telling us we need to have a coil or some object on the right hand side. So every line needs an output. So I'm going to put a coil on here, and I'm not going to label it for now, and build it again. Now it's come back and told me that there's one warning, and it will show me where that warning is. It's in the start stop ladder, line 7 column 10. The program will run. All it's doing is telling me that I forgot to label it, but this program will build and will actually operate. So if I connect and go PLC transfer to the PLC, and then go PLC run, and bring up my ladder, so my program is still working even though I've got a contact in there without a label on it. So let's stop our program and then disconnect. One other thing I'd like to show is that we should save our programs. This becomes more important when we're actually doing the assessment, because sometimes what happens is the simulator will lock up, and you might, instead of going, so let me actually label this, let me make a change to this and label that as out 1. So I've made a program change. I'm going to build it. I'm going to connect. Then I'm going to go PLC transfer from the PLC. And what's going to happen is I'm going to download the program from the simulator back onto my screen, but I'm going to lose that modification I've just made, like so. So unfortunately I didn't save my program, so therefore I can't get that back. All I can do is now retype it in. So to save your projects, what you need to do is go File, Save As, or give it a unique name. I'm going to call this part 1 version 2, and then hit save. Now the part 1 that was in there is now going to be unchanged, and I've now relabeled my project part Part 1 version 2. It's a good idea to save your projects as you go. Just in case something goes wrong, you can always come back to it. So the next step is to enter your 3 pump programs and then test them.